Hi, I'm Barry Ostrowski. At Barnabas Health, we believe citizens need to be informed about the important healthcare issues affecting their lives. That's why we're proud to support healthcare programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners on public television.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the Russell Berry Foundation, Bloomfield College, offering small classes and big opportunities since 1868. Barnabas Health, Wells Fargo, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and banking under the principle of stewardship, and by PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities.
This is One-on-One.
That's good acting, man.
I get that a lot. I go to Atlantic City all the time, like, are you the guy? I go, no, I'm not.
This is one you can't afford to miss.
They thought that I wouldn't survive it, but I knew I would.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato, going on location for One-on-One, doing a segment together with our friends at the Montclair Film Festival. We're here outside the Montclair Art Museum. I went one-on-one with Steve Gorelick, Executive Director of the New Jersey Motion Picture and Television Commission. You may ask why? So many television shows, so many films shot on location right here in New Jersey. Another aspect of the Montclair Film Festival. That's why we went one-on-one with Steve in front of a live audience. It's one of those one-on-one interviews you're going to really enjoy. I want you to give a Montclair Film Festival welcome to Steve Gorelick, who is the Executive Director of the New Jersey Motion Picture and Television Commission. Steve. Welcome, Steve. How are you? Steve, first question. How exciting is the Montclair Film Festival?
You know, it's ironic that we are here at a Montclair Film Festival because I should say that, and it just occurred to me as I'm sitting here, that of all the towns in New Jersey, I would say Montclair has been one of the most active hotspots for film production in New Jersey and has been one of the most cooperative places to make films and TV series and such throughout the years. And so it is a pleasure to be here, and it does make a lot of sense to me that a town like this, that they've got the vision and they understand, you know, what the value of having production, not just from economic standpoint, but also from the standpoint, the artistic standpoint of creating a cultural community here in New Jersey. You know, it makes perfect sense to me that we have a Montclair Film Festival today.
But Steve, is it also not a fact that Montclair has incredibly talented people?
Nothing but talented people. If you go from house to house to house, you'll find them.
There's a disproportionate number of incredibly talented people in town, is it not?
You really want...
It's true.
You want me to hurt the feelings of the people in Hoboken? Is that...
Do we really care about the people in Hoboken right now?
Actually...
This is Jersey. We don't worry about that.
One of the strengths of New Jersey, and one of the reasons we have such a great ability to attract film production, is because of the huge talent base here. You don't have to import talent when you're making movies and TV shows here because these people live here. And they live in Montclair. Montclair is one of the most probably populated towns in terms of film and television talent.
Tell me if I'm wrong here. My sense, Steve, was that The Sopranos and the years that it was so successful and the audience that it drew and the critical acclaim that it achieved and the location shooting, particularly in the north, except for the Pinelands episode when Christopher, you know, when Paulie Walnuts had lost the shoe, you know, that's a whole other scene.
They confuse that.
Yeah, I know. Was that a big turning point?
Well, I don't want to say that we didn't have filmmaking before then, because certainly we had many productions.
There was filmmaking, and there was television.
But there's no question it was a springboard for so much that happened here. It excited people even more about filming in New Jersey. It made New Jersey a hip place to make motion pictures. And, you know, David Chase, who created The Sopranos, who I think is one of the most brilliant people.
Was from the Caldwell area.
Yes. I forever love this guy, not only because he brought The Sopranos to New Jersey, because I think it did so much for the state, but also because he kept talking about the show, and he would always mention that New Jersey was one of the characters in the show, the main character. Not Tony Soprano, not his wife, New Jersey.
New Jersey was the main character in The Sopranos.
Right. And he told HBO. HBO at first said, no, you can't do it. You're going to do it in California or whatever. And he said, I'm not doing this show anywhere but New Jersey. God bless him. And he convinced them, after the first season, of course, he had a free ticket to do anything he wanted with ratings like they got. And it was one of those shows, again, where I remember we went to the wrap party after the first season was shot, and nobody really knew what they had. I mean, nobody knew. The film crew didn't know. They were hoping there'd be a second season so they'd get more work out of it. And then when that first season came on the air and immediately took hold of the nation, the world, we knew there would be many seasons to come.
I'm curious, by a show of hands, who remembers where the last... Look, I didn't even finish the question. You have it. Who remembers... All right, yell out, where was the last scene of The Sopranos shot 4 miles from here? Holstein's. Holstein's, a pretty good ice cream. The question is, you want to do Applegate's or Holstein's? That's another story. Holstein's, right in Montclair. Excuse me, right on Broad Street in Bloomfield.
Bloomfield.
That's a big deal.
And you know what? It almost didn't get done there.
What do you? Okay, hold on.
Is it?
You're finding this out. You're never going to find this out anywhere, other than the Montclair Film Festival. You're saying that final scene where Tony's there with Carmela and the kids, they're in the booth. And we're weirded out by the whole thing because we don't know what's going on, right? That's the way it ends. You're saying that scene almost didn't get shot in that ice cream parlor?
Yeah.
Because?
Because the mayor of the town at the time felt he didn't like The Sopranos because of the way it portrayed Italian Americans. And it was a shock to me because I'm saying this is going to be the final. We told them this is going to be the final scene in one of the most historic television productions of all time. It's going to be filmed in your town. And can you imagine how many people will come there just out of curiosity, go to the stores, go to the restaurants and such? I mean, you see what happens with a show like Cake Boss, where Cake
Buddy
Boss...
Valastro, right?
Right, and the line is out the door.
Hoboken is jammed outside of Carlo's Bakery.
How could you possibly say no to that? And eventually they came around to our way of thinking.
By the way, if you ever went to Holston's after that, you couldn't get in the joint. You could not get in it because not only did everyone see that scene, a lot of people saw it, but when you went to Holston's, they would have all sorts of memorabilia from The Sopranos connecting it to that scene. That was good for business.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, The Sopranos was good for business just from the standpoint they left probably, $15, $20 million a season here while they were filming every year. It increased as the series progressed. It got more and more expensive to produce. It was important because it increased tourism here in the state. We had people coming from around the world coming to look at the locations and such.
Steve, what else has been good? What other television, what other films have been good for the state of New Jersey in the last couple of years?
Well, I mean, you know, we had a lot of reality television lately. There's no question about that.
Has there been reality television in New Jersey? I hadn't noticed.
Yeah. If you put the name, we had, let's see, Jerseylicious, Jersey Couture, Real Housewives of New Jersey, and something called The Jersey Shore. If you put the name Jersey in a movie, you automatically have a hit.
By the way, we had one of our film festival films called Jersey Shore. I have to ask you, do you think, now does that bring money into the state?
I got to tell you that regardless of what you think of Jersey Shore, I don't personally watch it because I have other things to do with my life. But
don't be so smug about that.
They spend every year that they come here. They spend about $6 million in Seaside Heights, and you can't.
MTV does?
Yeah, for every season. And the merchants report, and you can ask the town, you can ask the mayor, the administrator. They said, don't say anything bad about Jersey Shore. It increases business here 20 to 30% a season. So if that's the case, how can you turn that down?
So from an economic point of view, you're good with it.
Yeah, you understand that as a film commission, and Michael, who's been one of our commissioners since almost the beginning, would back me up on this. We're not arbiters of taste. We're not going to sit here and decide for the people of New Jersey what's good for the state, what's not in terms of what's acceptable, what's morally acceptable. We sit here as an agency of economic development, and in that sense, we bring movies here to boost the economy, and it also has the byproduct of boosting tourism and creating a stronger cultural community. We know that. But
so even if Jersey Shore sucks, you're like, good, you're okay with it because it brings the money.
I don't comment editorially on any production.
And you do not put Jersey Shore in the same category with The Sopranos, or you're not commenting on that either?
Would you put it in that same category?
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org and visit us online at oneonone.org.
Steve Adubato here at the Claridge Theater, the Montclair Film Festival. We're here talking to Seth Kramer and Daniel Miller. They're the filmmakers who put together Evocateur. It is a film about Morton Downey Jr. If you don't know who he is, late 1980s, he was the king of trash TV. It's a movie that is powerful, it is controversial. Let me tell you something, these filmmakers are part of the Montclair Film Festival, and it's an interview you don't want to miss. Good evening, everyone. My name is Steve Adubato. I'm a broadcaster with public television. More importantly, I'm affiliated with this wonderful film festival here in Montclair. It is my honor and my pleasure to introduce two of the three filmmakers who made this wonderful and very provocative, if you will, film possible. Ladies and gentlemen, first, Mr. Seth Kramer. Let's hear it for Seth Kramer. Congratulations. Great job. Grab that. Also, Seth is joined by his colleague, Daniel Miller. Daniel, where are you? Great job.
Thank you.
Folks, I'm going to throw some questions at our two friends, and then we'll open it up. Okay, come together because we're actually shooting this, and hopefully, if it looks good and it's a good interview, we'll use it for public television. If it sucks, then we won't. That's the way. But it's not going to. No, trust me, we are shooting it for that purpose. The first thing I'm going to ask you is, of all the people, I mean, I remember, and full disclosure, I'm used to saying that in public broadcasting. I actually worked at Channel 9 in 1988. Was right there in the newsroom in the studio when Mort Downey and Peter, his executive producer, was someone I actually worked for at the time. And it was a weird time at the station, I have to tell you, because a lot of us were asking, how could the station bring in this guy? And then we saw the show, and then we said, how could we work for the station who brought in the guy? Why did you make this film about this guy?
Right, well, first of all, don't tell anyone at Channel 9 how much footage we stole. That's number one. Okay.
Quite all right. Why Morton Downey Jr.?
Seth and I discovered that both of us were fans of the show when we were teenagers. It was something that we sort of held repressed for a long time.
Because?
Because...
Get a little closer.
Okay.
Did you guys actually go?
No, no, we didn't
go. You watched?
We watched.
We watched.
Okay.
Yeah, those people who are in the movie are our friends, and they all had cars and were able to go. We didn't, and we sort of
watch it.
Yeah, we watched it from home. But we were both fans at the time, and
when you were watching as kids. Now, how old? I'm trying to get a sense. When you were watching in 88 and 89, how old were you?
This is getting very personal.
Yeah.
But no, that's all right. We were around
take a guess how old we were.
18.
How old were you?
17 or 18
And
years
you're
old.
watching
No,
Morton
we were the
Downey
perfect
Jr.
audience for this guy. We were like the target audience.
Were you screaming at the television?
Oh, God, that's a great question. I can't... No, you know, I was pretty passive. I was more into, like, the guys he was yelling at, so I sort of rooted for them. Okay. You know?
And when you got into this, I'm not even going to ask you how you got the footage, but the people who you talked to, the producers, Bill Boggs, by the way, maybe some of you remember Bill Boggs, who actually was a television personality and also a very successful producer as well. They seemed awfully willing to share everything, and also his closest friend as well, everything about Mort Downey. Why?
Shocking.
I think that Morton Downey, when he had this big incident in 1989, he sort of fell off the map, and a lot
the fake incident,
right? And his show went away, and all his producers went on to other things. A lot of people had a lot of fun working on the show, but many of them didn't get the closure, I think, that they sort of wanted out of the whole experience. And when we called them, it was the opportunity to sort of unload about Morton Downey, about the whole experience working for him, about who he was and what he meant to them and what he meant to the world. So I think it was like kind of that, not having that closure at the time, sort of allowed them to open up to us.
And I know that, and Downey would obviously scream and yell, and for those of us who were at the studio at the time, and I never worked for the show, but you would hear Morton Downey scream and yell, and he was profane and all that and everything else. Did they like him?
Oh, it's a love-hate they have. Everybody who we interviewed, from the producers to his family, they had this very unusual, unresolved relationship with the guy where they loved him. He was a lot of fun, so he had the dynamic personality, but he also let them down.
Was it painful for his daughter? I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, that's okay.
Was
you could see that it was. You could see that it was. It was painful at the time, which I think she comes across really well, and it was painful for her to relive it, but cathartic. It took some convincing for her to do it.
How'd you do that?
We convinced her to do it, and then she refused again. And then we convinced her again, and then she didn't want to do it. So finally we convinced her, and then we had the interview, and it was a great interview. And then she didn't want to. She said, "That's enough." She didn't want to come to the premiere at Tribeca because it was just she lived the experience, and she didn't want to relive it again. So I think what she said on film was kind of enough for her, and that seemed to be the case with a lot of people we spoke to.
And his closest friend? How painful was it for him? By the way, was that the first time that he disclosed that story about the fact that Mort Downey, he did the swastika? By the way, terrible with the swastika. Right. He could backwards, he did it himself.
We're both Jewish. We could do that with our eyes closed. Right. But yes, he did that himself.
Very impressive.
And we got the scoop on that story. Not only the scoop on that story, but the fact that the guy, we're interviewing him and he pulls out the shirt.
He's got the
pulls
pants.
out the pants and everything.
And the other one wasn't even ripped, it was cut.
Right.
So he shares that. Right. And Lori, I'm curious about this. What's the deal there? Was that the first time she heard that story?
Yeah, we're still waiting to get... She hasn't seen the completed movie yet. I mean, this is very painful for her as well. We had an unusual relationship where we've been talking with... We started working on this movie 4 years ago. We've been talking to her for 4 years. She did not agree to be interviewed. She didn't want to do it. It's painful. She would retreat, then she'd come back to us again. And so, she at some point we'll sit down but she probably knows at this point that it wasn't true.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org and visit us online at oneonone.org.
Steve Adubato here outside the Montclair Art Museum with our friend and colleague Bob Feinberg, the chairman of the Montclair Film Festival. This is the last day. Does it feel like it?
It does feel like it. Yeah, it's been a marathon. Yeah, but it's been a great marathon. I mean, the town has totally come out to support what we've been doing. We've had, I guess, 45 films, a couple of parties, live interviews and panel discussions. It's really been it's been totally off the wall. I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but it's been everything I really hoped and dreamed it would be, and to have that happen in year one of a film festival is just great.
It's interesting. I asked Bob on the first night, is it everything you hoped it would be? He said, yeah, I thought it would be pretty much like this. And now, a few days later, it's more than that.
It really is. And, it's because we've brought so much together in one place. People from Montclair, people from New York City, people from L.A. The town is totally lit up. You can't go anywhere without seeing our colors.
By the way, why the green shirt?
Brings out my eyes.
No. I'm just seeing a connection with the colors. Branding.
Always branding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you can't go anywhere without seeing some connection to the film festival.
Yeah. Well, and that's great. I hoped that this would be an event that was not going to be just about people going into movie theaters, watching movies, but would really engage the community. And what I've loved really is not only what we've done, but the things that are happening independent of the film festival. People are having parties on Church Street. We had nothing to do with it. People are bringing guests in to do other stuff. Nothing to do with it. Wine tastings to support us. All sorts of you plant some creative seeds and other things come of it. Other things grow out of it, and that's exactly. It started to happen year one, which is just great.
Those are surprises.
They're somewhat surprising. I mean, it's surprising because people's schedules are busy. you know, the economy hopefully is starting to come back, but baby steps. This is the first time we've done this. So, you know, we hoped it would take off. And as you know, because you've helped, we've spent the last 2 years doing small events, outdoor movies, individual screenings, panel discussions, building the brand, all kidding aside, letting people know that we're about quality, creative events. We've been really lucky. Everything we've done up until now has either been capacity, if it's a free event, or sold out, if it's ticketed. So now looking back on the last 5 days of this film festival, 45 films, more than 20 of them sold out. It's unbelievable for a first year of a film festival, and it's because of the support we've gotten from this community.
The other thing I want to ask you before we let you go, because we actually were outside the Montclair Art Museum. We just did a one-on-one interview in front of a live audience with Michael Uslan, the boy who loved Batman, and I'll tell you, the audience loved him. There's a big Batman film coming out, not part of the film festival, but Michael is one of the many people part of the film festival, and you're doing something actually coming up. We have someone coming in doing a Q&A, right, in just a few minutes here.
Patrick Wilson, the actor, is going to come do a Q&A. The line, I'm happy to say, is already starting to form. We got a couple other screenings left the rest of the day today. The last movie, I love this, the last movie we're showing on Sunday night of a 6-day film festival starts at 9:50 at night. And of course, my 14-year-old son is insisting that he's going to that movie. And then we start this summer, we'll be doing 4 outdoor screenings. We've got one screening back at MSU. We're going to be screening Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. With
Montclair State University.
Montclair State University. Seeking a Friend for the End of the World with Steve Carell.
At Casser Theater?
And Keira Knightley at Casser Theater, directed by a Montclair State University graduate. So you're not the only big hitter Montclair State University graduate.
No, that's a real big hitter.
It's a real big hitter. So that's June 21st, I think. So hopefully you'll come back and talk to some folks about that.
Well, I have to tell you, for us, for those of us who are part of the NJTV as well, NJTV family, the WNET family, where Bob has a pretty important job there, you know, when he's not running the film festival. It has been, I got to tell you, we did it because we thought it was the right thing to do, and we thought we'd help out. What we didn't expect was to get so much great stuff.
I know, it was when we started planning this, and when we brought on board Tom Powers and Rafael Ineas, our festival directors, 6 months ago, we were planning a 3-day festival with 25 films.
That was the goal.
That was the goal, and I thought if Tom could get 25 filmmakers to trust their, I mean, these are their babies, right, to trust their films to Montclair. These are people who are showing their films at Sundance and at Toronto, where Tom programs the documentaries. So he got 25 films, and I thought, fantastic. Then he said to me, I got 45 films. And for a minute, I was elated. And then, of course, I immediately thought, that's a lot of tickets. How are we gonna get? I mean, you know, we're not in Manhattan. We're not in a major urban area.
And things are tough out there from an economic point of view.
Tough out there. So we price the tickets right. If you're a member of the film festival, you got a little discount. And 20 some odd of the 40 films sold out. So just so great, such great support. We're doing live events right now at the library. People are talking about editing and screenwriting. And you know, we're gonna build from here.
Finally, tell folks, because a lot of the video that we're shooting you'll find on the website of the Montclair Film Festival. Tell folks when they actually, if they're watching this interview with Bob right now, you'll see the website of the film festival. Tell folks what they can get, what they can see, and why it's so important to actually go on the film festival's website. So
the festival website, montclairfilmfest.org, has been really our calling card thus far. So there are shots of all the events we've done up until the film festival. Since the festival started, we've got links to all the press, and there's been tons of local press, national press, which is fantastic. I did an interview on WNYC Public Radio yesterday, so we're linking to all these things.
Stephen Colbert plugged you guys actually on his show.
Stephen Colbert spent the last 57 seconds.
57 minutes? 57 seconds is a lot.
Seconds of his show last Monday night plugging the festival, which was incredible. We've got some videos that have been made by our volunteer videographers, Montclair State students for the most part, who've been making videos, linking them to the website. information about upcoming events, links for people to sign up to volunteer, to become members of the film festival. We're now at about, I think, 550 some odd annual members of the film festival. Of course, places on the film festival website if you are inclined to donate to the festival. We're a not-for-profit organization. We're, of course, always looking for funds to fund our next events and the second annual Montclair Film Festival, which will be next year. So the website has all sorts of stuff, great stuff to relive what we've done and to share with us what's going to happen in the coming months and weeks and months.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence, and the Montclair Film Festival. 13 for WNET and NJTV. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the Russell Berry Foundation, Bloomfield College, offering small classes and big opportunities since 1868, Barnabas Health, Wells Fargo, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and banking under the principle of stewardship, and by PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and NorthJersey.com, and the Star Ledger and NJ.com, Everything Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.
Since 1865, we've sought to deliver the very best possible medical care to the people of New Jersey. Today, you'll find that mission made real in every facet of the state's largest healthcare system, with world-renowned doctors using the most advanced technology and techniques, pioneering a new path to better care. We are Barnabas Health, a new name for the next great century of medicine. Barnabas Health, every day extraordinary.